Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today, we're going to be talking about how to play up your strengths.
Yes. So, I mean, like we all have the things that we dislike about our homes. We wish we could change, shoulda, woulda, coulda type of thing. We want to like flip that on its head. Talk about like the things we love and how we can play to those strengths in our homes, how we've done it. I mean, how as individuals, like Suze, you've never met a stranger. Like I actually, if I'm going to go into a group of people that I don't know, I want to go with you, let you do the talking, and I can just
warm up the party.
Take a step back.
Yes.
Let Suze do her thing, get the icebreaker going. People are, and then
Totally.
I don't feel
Suzanne
like for the pressure.
Suzanne is so disarming. I've been to market with her, and she will take a pair of glasses off of someone's face and put them on her own and pose with them in a picture. Like she just loves people, and she's just like a lab, a Labrador.
I'm a lab.
Yeah, she's just wagging her tail, and she's like rubbing up against each other, people, and she's so excited, and everybody loves Suzanne, and she's the ultimate.
Lab.
She's the ultimate party trick. She's the blonde lab.
And it's not weird when you like if I were to do that, people would be like, "What are you doing?" But like it's like it's the energy. It's the energy you come with, and it's
truly, it's all about energy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We always see this. I want to talk about your superpowers too, but it's like the energy of the party is the energy of the hostess.
Yeah.
Or the host, right?
Yep.
And so it's kind of the same thing. Like Jess, your superpower. Let's just talk about superpowers really fast.
Let's do it.
Jess is super shy. She hates this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to say Jess has the most like eloquent way. And I think if you listen to this podcast, you know this because we were talking about a very visual medium with our words. And I think even when I first started working at Alice Lane and we were on the floor talking about linen sheets, like everything that Jess said, I was just like, subscribe to. I'm just like, yes, linen sheets. Yes, this is like truth because like the way she described it, like you just turned it into such a beautiful lifestyle. Like I'll live more beautifully and like I'll sleep better with these linen sheets, or just and how you describe people, how you describe anything. Like that is your superpower. Like
so
can I get an
true.
amen?
Yeah,
Can I get an amen?
For real.
That's so sweet.
I was in a meeting. This was like maybe within the last 6 months. I was in a meeting with a home furnishing design team, and I was like explaining to them like some of the product, and literally in the middle, I was like, "Damn it! Like Jess described this so much better the other day." I was like, "If you guys want to know more about that, ask her."
You guys,
You
so
really
nice.
just have a way of explaining things in such like I don't know, like eloquent way. You use like great words, and I explain. I'm like, yeah, it's just made of wood, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and I wish I had that. But
you guys, you're so sweet.
You never say like or Also, I've noticed.
Thank you, Sue. That's so nice.
Anyway,
that's so sweet.
And when you do, if you do say that, people will point it out in the comment section. That's for sure.
That is for sure.
Thank you to all those keyboard warriors.
But it's not about us feeling bad about ourselves or our homes. It's about us feeling good about what we are good at, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Sue and I would both agree that Cory is the pocket knife, the Swiss Army knife.
The Swiss Army
of
knife.
a human. Yeah, I mean, he's a skateboarder extraordinaire. He's a cabinet builder.
He's a musician.
A door builder.
Rock band.
He has a rock band. Yeah, he's building his own cabin. He's over special projects at Alice Lane. He's on the podcast with us.
How many other titles has he had at Alice Lane? And they were just like, just put him in special projects because he does everything beautifully. But he does everything great because he's determined. Like you're so darn determined to figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of Cory.
Yeah, I believe in Cory's head is a neon sign that says everything is figure outable. And he just figures it out, but he does it the right way, and he'll fight for it until it's done right. So we love having Cory on our team. You make us better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Guys, you need to do this. Good? Yeah, you guys, we're modeling this for you so that you can do this with your friends at dinner. And you need to tell them what their strengths are, because I think social media and the world beats us down to compare ourselves to others. And we always compare our worst to somebody else's best. Yeah. And we're all completely different. We can't compare ourselves. We just have to really think about what our strengths are and then lean into that. And we want to teach you how to do that with your own homes. So we're going to model that for you by talking about our own homes, right? Yeah. Suzanne purchased a 1971 ranch style home. Gotcha. I did a new build on my home a decade ago, and I worked with an architect to build a modest home that I love. And Cory, you...
Mine was 4 years ago now. I feel like it's brand new, but I started it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
This
And
month.
did you buy a plan or did you work with an architect to create your home?
Half and half. I took something and I kind of just like
You special project it.
Yeah, special project.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, there's something here.
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
We'll make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all coming from different points of view. There are all things about our homes that could be better. There are things about our homes that could be worse. And there are things about our home that we love and celebrate.
Mhm.
And we want to tell you what the strengths of our home are so that after this podcast or during this podcast, you can be thinking about what your strengths of your home are so that you can lean into that, play it up. And when you're giving the house tour of your remodel or your project that you've just finished to your best friend, you can just tell them about how you really leaned into your strengths. And it's going to make you love your home differently instead of thinking my kitchen isn't big enough, or I should have had of this, or I wish I had of that, or
we're not finished over here, so don't pay attention to that. It's just like, let's focus on the things
focus on the strengths.
that are winning.
Yeah, love.
It's
okay.
true. Oh, I love this.
I
I
do
just
too.
started and I have goosebumps. This is going to be fun.
Suze, what's your favorite part about your house?
It's really funny because I noticed it when we bought the house. When we bought the home and I saw the listing, it was a project. We both knew it was a project, and there was a lot of things that like I could pick apart. But the thing I noticed the most, obviously, it's on an acre, which I loved. Right, like we just wanted space for our boys to play and just get dirty. But there was this massive linden tree in the front yard, and I didn't even know it was a linden tree. I've done a lot of research on them now because I'm just so darn in love with her. She's so pretty, but she's just like the tallest tree on the street, and like she's probably 2.5 times the height of my house because it's a small little 8-foot rambler. But this tree is just like, it's like the book The Giving Tree. Everyone remembers that book. Anyway, and as we've lived in it, in the house, like Thomas put in like the saucer swing, and we've put in like ladders, and like not a full tree house yet, but that is where like my kids go and they just grab it. I know it's funny that I'm talking about a tree that's not inside my house, but it's just become like such a backdrop for my kids and the neighborhood kids. Like they just like flock to it.
Your tree is your backyard.
It is my backyard.
Even though it's in your front yard.
And then we have a full acre behind us.
But it gives shade. I mean, the Giving Tree gives shade. And so
totally
everybody can play under it comfortably.
Yeah.
And I think one of your favorite parts too is the sound it makes.
You guys, okay, we're going to talk about the tree. Okay. The sound that it makes is like the linden tree actually was brought here from Germany, and like they would put the linden tree at like the center of town in like a lot of these German towns, and that's where they would like hold celebrations under. They would hold celebrations and judgments under it. And it's like I should have wrote down my notes, but I want to say that it's just like the tree of motherhood, which also I think is just so beautiful.
So
the tree of motherhood.
It's raising 3 boys.
It's raising 3 boys. Gosh. Anyway, and so they would place these trees at the center of town where like these celebrations and judgments would happen. So it was a very important tree, and it drops a lot. If you don't like to like pick up, don't get a linden tree. I will say that. But in like usually like late June, like it blooms this little yellow flower that's so pretty, and bees just flock to it. And I don't mind bees, and they're honeybees, and linden honey's supposed to be incredible. And so I think I need to be a beekeeper. Anyway, I'll also say is that in the month of like end of June, you sit underneath that and it is an audible hum. It just hums at you, and it's like so beautiful. And I'm just like, it's really fun to like live in the different seasons of this tree. And just like watch like your kids grow up under this tree on the saucer swing and Tom's always switching the swings. And anyway, and I get to see it. There's a nice big window in our front room, you know, that when you walk in, you see the linden tree. So I'm like, whether I'm outside or whether I'm inside my house, I get to appreciate this tree. And it just feels like I love the outside being in. I love the outdoors. I love green. And this tree, like, that's why I'm like, winter's so sad for me sometimes, because I'm like, my tree goes away, and then spring comes back, and I'm just so happy to see her again through my window. So that is like, I think my biggest asset. I think anyone that's been to my house, I probably like spat off all those facts to them too. I'm like, have you heard about the linden tree? Come swing on the saucer with me.
But that's not something you could buy. You know, you want a 60-foot tall linden tree? Good luck. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it has to be where it is. And I don't know when it was planted. It was probably decades ago.
Probably when they built the house. Like, I think he like started it as a seed. But I remember when we were getting, like, we had a bunch of like emergency remodels and construction happening, and we had to tie into the septic, and they had to like dig up all this land about. And I remember talking to Jess, and like, probably was I teary?
You were emotional.
I was emotional. Like,
yeah,
the fact like they were trying to like, again, get all this stuff to the city, to the street. And I'm like, if like, and then we had already had a long year, and I'm like, if this tree gets like hurt, I'm like, we out.
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, it was like, it would have been a serious. I don't know if you even like, I think that's when you're like, that's when I realized, I'm like, you bought this house for the tree.
Yeah, you didn't realize you did, but it's
did.
been the one thing that is just makes you so happy.
Makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a really long asset, but that is like probably one of my favorite things about my house is that darn tree in the big window. I get to look at my pretty tree.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it gives back so much to the house.
It does.
How about
Come
you,
sit with
Cory?
me
What's
anytime.
your strength in your home that you want to talk about?
Mine's kind of like in that same realm. Like, it's not something you can just build or create, but obviously I love Springville, Utah. That's where I live. I went to high school there. I was a Red Devil. One of the coolest
you
mascots.
were.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah, you
Art
Red
City?
Devil.
Yeah, it's Art
Which
City.
is so cool.
Yeah, yeah. My kids, our nanny tried to take him there on Monday, and they're like, "Yeah, we tried to go." I was like, "It's closed on Mondays." I was like, "I already knew that. You guys should have asked me." You know what I mean? Side note.
There's a really cool art museum, and like it's incredible.
It's called the
really
Springville
is.
Art Museum.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it's
it was
so
like
beautiful.
built in the 20s.
Yeah.
It's so rad, like
Very
terracotta,
Spanish
like
colonial. It's
yeah,
so beautiful.
super cool. Well, anyway, we have a walkout on our from our primary, which is on our second floor of our home, and that was intentional, obviously. But I remember the first time Mario and I went out there and like looked, and it faces the East Mountains. And
So this is upstairs in your house. So is it a balcony?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Or
and
like a deck?
yeah, it's like 6 by 10, so it's not super big, but we like
Yeah.
hang out there. It faces east, so at night it's like the cool spot,
Yeah.
you know, in our home. And so we sit out there, we watch the other cool things, like watching fireworks from like all of our neighbors, and you know, yeah,
So pretty.
but just the view that we have from there, like with the mountains, like I'm like, man, this is why I love Springville, you know, like you
Really
kind of feel
close
like you're
to
in
the
the country
mountains.
a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. Like, so that is one of my favorite things. And I mean, I look at it every time we go out there, at least 3 or 4 nights a week. So, yeah.
You don't really know what your home's strength is going to be when you're building it or you're choosing a plan.
Mhm.
You think like you might put a lot of time and energy into something and you're excited about it, but then living in the house and the lifestyle that you develop kind of changes depending on the way the light faces, or when you have free time, what's the most comfortable spot in the house, or do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I
You
this,
like learn to live in it, kind
right.
of.
So I guess the listener, it might surprise you what you lean into, like what your strength is in your home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of you guys just said outdoor spaces
I know. I was thinking about
from
that
your
too.
house. It wasn't even an indoor thing, but it's a lifestyle thing, don't you think?
Total lifestyle.
So true.
It's how
Use
you
it all the
want to
time.
live in your home.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 And it's
I love
something
that.
that like, I mean, really only my home could have that exact same view, because it's where it is. It's, you know, the second story walkout, like, again, it's something you can't necessarily purchase. And
Yeah.
it just happened to be that way. And I'm like, man, this is something I love about this house that I didn't even plan on, which is awesome.
And your kids
Yeah.
will remember that going out and be like, Mom and Dad are probably on the deck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
So I love that.
Yeah.
Jess, what about you?
Well, mine is inside my house. I feel like
You have a really pretty
Yeah.
interior.
Thank you.
It should
That's
be.
real nice.
Yeah.
Well, at the very back of my house is where we live. And the back of my house sits above ground, a second story. There's a walkout basement. So the main floor feels like a second story at the back. And it feels like when you look out the windows that you're in a tree house, because you're looking at all these treetops. And there's great big windows back there. And we go up into, it's probably like a 19-foot ceiling that it vaults up to. And we decided to really go for it on finish work in that vaulted ceiling and do some white beams and some T&G of white oak in between. And it's just this real lake house moment. And the treetops are out the window and all of the volume doesn't feel like $2,000. You know how some people have a double story room and they have a flat ceiling and they don't have any finish work on it. You're like, this is just massive, right?
It's a gymnasium.
Echo.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And you
yeah.
just feel small in it. But I think because we brought beams down and everything, that it makes the ceiling not feel so high while you still have all the breadth of a tall room. And I love standing in my kitchen where my kitchen ceilings are at 12 feet. And then all of a sudden you see the vault go up in the room that's connected to it. And I love the change in ceiling height because just that one room is pitched. That's it. And it just feels so special. And the finished work, I think, and the shape of the room, I think is really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think playing up my strengths, obviously I had volume in there. And it's where we spend a lot of time. So I felt like it was worth the extra expense to do the finish work. And it just made the room for me. It's a favorite place.
It really does. It almost makes it
does.
feel, you know how like sometimes it just doesn't, like you were saying, it doesn't feel cozy. Like that makes it feel cozy.
Yeah.
You're like, man, this is,
Which is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Again, on
So
a
if you
tall
do have,
ceiling.
if you do have, I think ceilings can be a way that you can really lean into a room and make it suddenly your favorite place that you can, you can play that up.
I love that. And it's fun too to watch like the way light, and again, this is what you know after you live there for a while,
Yeah.
the way light bounces, you know, and shadows bounce. I'm sure there's certain times of day where you're just like, oh, okay, everyone should meet here, congregate at 8 because the sun will be setting.
Yep.
And like it glows.
Yeah.
Like I think we all find spots in your home where like, you know, when it glows.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally. Well, and I have opposite of Cory, I have a west facing backyard. So that is where the sun sets and it gets hot, like the surface of the sun back there during the day. I mean, if you want to get yourself a real nice tan, just come on over.
maybe oil it up and
you'll last you'll last about 15 minutes, but
Starfishing.
boy, will you be bright red. But so one of the things we learned is that same room off the back of the house is our deck. And we really can't use it at all during the day or the evening, but you can use it at sunset. And we'll sunset on the back deck because it's finally comfortable and you can watch the sun go down and it's pretty dreamy, or you watch the sun go down from that room.
See, that's an
Yeah.
asset.
Yeah.
Your sunsetting is
Totally.
an asset for sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
Great. Okay, over
love
to
that.
you, Suze.
Okay.
Let's talk about your next strength
My
in your
next
home.
strength. Okay. So there was a couple things. Again, this house, I mean, you guys have all seen some of the before shots. I think y'all have an idea. But when I remember when we first bought it and then we've kind of continually like made it better, there was, again, 1971. They did some interesting things. Like, again, we're talking about positive things. And one of the positive things I just love about this house is that there's like a little detached garage that's like has a roof over it. And then there's the home. And there's like this little corridor courtyard between the two. And old sister Park, man, she had some like rocks and accoutrement like all up in
Old
there.
Sister Park was the homeowner that built the home, and it was one owner since 1971 until 2020 when Sue Hall bought the house.
She never purged. Like that girl just like layered the horseshoes on. Like there was so much ish over there. But it's been really fun to kind of clear out all that and make it my own and like start to plant things. And when I saw the house, I'm like, there's something here. I'm like, this could be something special. I'm like, if like I could smell something lovely and I could like, there was these kind of built-in planters like they did in the 70s. And that's what we've been working on like the last like year or two, like in the springs and things, is just like we lifted up. She had all this like small red rock. We lifted all that up. We filled it with soil, and we've just been doing plants, you know, that like the shade. And so I have this kind of arbor where I have like honeysuckle growing and it's just like exploding. It's really fun. I sent Jess a video of it last night. I'm like, this is what's happening here right now.
So you guys, if you
really
picture
magical.
this, so she's got the detached garage and then she has this corridor, which is like a breezeway to her front door. Her front door is like the main focus as you're walking under this sort of, not a tunnel, but it's kind of that effect where it's enclosed, but still breezy, right? And then the main house is taking place on the right. So and it's all white brick, big bricks from the 70s. And so it feels to me like a Palm Springs house because it's white and this big, huge picture window in the front with your beautiful linden tree. And this breezeway is just such an opportunity to make this feel like some old cool 70s Hollywood home or Palm Springs home.
Yep.
Yeah. So she's got these built-in planters on both sides that you've been making come to life. The honeysuckle, which has a smell, which is amazing.
Kind of creating this arbor, and it's just so pretty to like kind of understand too. After you live in a home, you understand like I've put things in there that haven't survived, and I've taken that out and I've planted more honeysuckle. And so you start to figure out, again, the assets of these individual properties, in your home, like what glows the best, right?
Right.
And so, like we have plans to do a really cool front door. And I was telling Jess, there's this like one little at the back of the breezeway, it goes out to the rest of our lot. And I'm like, that should be a gate, there, so that we can like feel more light coming through there. So it's just exciting.
I think the breeze will blow pretty too.
Yeah, I do too. And so anyways, it's fun to explore, like just help it grow. But
just
the
to play up
is just really, really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
It's kind of like the powder bath in a home. Like it's a small space, but it's worth getting right because it's an entry and it's how people are going to experience your home or coming to a party and knocking on that door and smelling honeysuckle and being in this cool little tunnel with a gate and this brightly colored door or whatever your plans are for that. I just think it's such this cool opportunity to take something that's okay right now, but make it a strength. Yeah. Because architecturally, it's so interesting and it's super vibey.
Yeah, it has such a vibe.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's probably my second favorite asset of the house.
I love it.
So, what about you, Cory?
That's gonna be fun.
I didn't even know it was. This has happened a couple times to us. Especially, when you like first move in a neighborhood, you don't know anybody, and people are knocking on the door, or giving you cookies or whatever. So the
people that live in the city are like, I wouldn't take those cookies if I were you. I'll have to explain what Utah is like.
Yeah.
Everybody's real friendly.
Yes. Yeah. You can trust the cookie that you're given.
Yes. There you go.
It's probably really awesome.
Yeah. Most of the time. But we've had a couple of neighbors who have since been in our home. And when they come in, they've been like, because we have a long hallway that kind of just leads to like the back of our home, which is where we, our like great room is and where we do most of our living. And, I have actually noticed people kind of like, when I answer the door, they're like looking over my shoulder, like peeking back there. And then when they come in, like when they've, have been in my home, they're like, we always wanted to see what it was like inside. And it was like, like this little part, like piqued our interest and like the paneling on the wall and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then it gives me a chance to be like, oh, like check, if you like that, like check this out, and I'm like, I did this and just kind of get to exude my passion a little bit. And so like, that's one thing I didn't even really count on or know that was going to be a thing, but it just happened. And it's I don't want to say the word boasting, but it gives me a chance to like, talk about my home in a way, like to let people know that I love it.
Yeah. It's a showcase of you guys as a people. Yeah. I love that. One thing.
So do you have a glass front door or glass side lights? How do they see in your house?
So yeah, I have a 3/4 light, like glass. We do have a roller shade on it, like, but sometimes it's open or or when I answer the door and I have the door open, I'm talking to the person, I can like see them like peeking or whatever. And my music room is off to the side and it's all black. So that's probably, they're like, man, what's going on in this house? We've even had some neighbors actually that have been like, you really like took some risks. And I'm like, I mean, I understand it's not everyone's flavor, you know what I mean? But to each their own. So, it's just been, like I said, a cool way just to share the love of my home, like with people. And it's cool to see like their reaction. That's what you want in a home, right? Is for people to come in and be like, whoa, this is like unique and it feels like you as a person. And
you want a reaction, whether it be good or bad, like it means that it's opinionated.
Yes.
And it's you. So that's, whatever reaction you get is what I think is fun.
Totally.
For people to feel. It's fun for us to go into a space where we feel something. Sometimes it can be something you like, sometimes not, but it's theirs. It's that person's house, which is cool. One thing I like about both of your homes, you mentioned it, like when you, like from the entry, you can see all the way to the back. In both of your homes, you feel that. And I really love that about a house. Like when I'm in a home and I like know where it starts and know where it ends, or something really grounding about that, because otherwise you start to feel like you're lost in a labyrinth. You're like, where is the entry? How do I get out?
I'm turned around.
Yeah. And I think the way the light shares from like side to side is really beautiful. And again, it just orients you beautifully. And I really love that about both your homes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? I know wayfinding is something that when we do commercial design, it's a really important piece for people to feel intelligent as they move through a space. You don't ever want people to feel insecure. No. And there is something that is really grounding, like Suzanne said, about standing in the front door and being able to see the very back of the home. That you're like, okay, This is the spine of the home. I know there's going to be things that happen right and left, but I totally can orient myself with this.
You
Yeah.
kind of see their cards a little bit, so
Totally.
you're not like you can go through confidently.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
for sure. Well, speaking of front doors, since we're all talking about
yeah.
our
There's
entryways.
something to say.
Yes.
You know how many people have brought your front door like up to me? Just, I mean, yeah, like just from seeing it, like, did you see Jess's? I'm like, yeah, that seriously is amazing. So it's awesome.
Guys,
So
after
good.
living in my house for a decade, it was time to repaint. And so we knew we had to paint the shingles again. And with it, we were like, well, this front door, it's dark. So it was black and navy. And we were like, this is an opportunity. We're painting it anyway, so we could get a change, or we could do the same thing. And we decided, as you all know, I'm sure we've talked about this plenty on the podcast. We decided to go with, what was it called again? Warmed Cognac by Ben Moore, which is like this Hermesy orange, kind of dark leathery color. And they put one coat of paint on, and I was like, I made a big mistake. And then
You were sweating it?
I can't believe it.
Really?
It's different. You feel it differently when it's yourself. We give it people advice all day long, but you feel it on an emotional level. And I was like, oh no, the house looks so much more sophisticated with this dark door. Your eye, it kind of sets in a little bit deeper, you know, which just makes it look so chic. So first coat goes on, and I'm like, oh, what did I do? Well, luckily,
This is the first time she's saying this. I didn't know about
luckily,
this.
you guys, because it was a 10-year-old door. And I will say this, if you guys want to lean into your strength, it being your entryway, if you need to get a new door, which Suzanne has expressed she's going to get a new door. So I'm giving you this advice too. And all of you listeners, get a solid wood door. When you have a really heavy entry door, there's something about it. And we have real estate friends too that will say the same thing. If you open a hollow core door, it doesn't feel very heavy, and you don't think the house is very expensive. Where if you're showing this house, or the homeowner, opens the front door and it's super heavy, they're like, this is a well-built home. They decide that right from the beginning.
Yep.
So I do have a solid door. We did paint it, but because it was solid wood, the sun beats on it. Even though I have a covered porch, it's black. And so it absorbed the heat, and there was cracks in it. So he had to spend, I'm not kidding, he spent a month, because he was also painting the outside, but he was filling the door. He was sanding the door, filling the door, sanding the door, filling the door, priming it, using Bondo, priming. Finally, he gets to a stage where he can paint it. We have 6 coats of gloss paint.
Yeah, is it high gloss or?
It's just gloss.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
6
sheen on it's pretty awesome.
coats. Is that wild?
That is crazy.
By the time we got down to coat 3 or 4, I was like, I love it. I am so into it. It just got a little bit deeper and richer each time. And
With nail color.
Yeah.
The first coat, you're just like, oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You're
exactly what it
anemic.
is. It's nail color. Yeah. So I just wanted to say, with your front door, if you want to make it, get the solid door. Get yourself a big fat handset that just feels good in the hand. Splurge on that thing. And then I did, a lot of accoutrement because I'm a designer and I think that's fun. So I have the fox head door knocker. I've got the mail slot. I've got the big brass handset. And it's...
You also have side lights. Let's just talk about those real fast.
The
'Cause those are
side
my favorite
lights,
thing, I think, about your entry in addition to warm cognac.
Yes. So if you guys don't know what a side light is, it's little, slim, tall windows that are the same height of your door on both sides of your door. It lets light into your entryway. I didn't want to have to give up the ghost and do just like glass so people could see right in. I had little girls at the time, and we had people helping us watch them. And I just was like thinking we needed privacy, but I really wanted the light in my entry. So with the solid door, I decide I'm going to do art glass for side lights. And I know the risk of doing art glass. You guys are all picturing something with flowers in your head, and you're like, she's a little old lady. But I did something a little bit more, I'll say historic and graphic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have a better way of describing
I
that?
think it just feels like that kind of leaded grid, but you have like the little colored jewels in it. And I
Yeah.
was going to say Mondrian, but I think it's a little bit more classical than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's so artful.
So
for the art
artful.
class.
And I mean, I think this is a strength of living in Utah. We have a lot of really great craftsmen. Utah is known for building big, beautiful temples, and there's craftsmen that know how to do great art glass. And so I leaned into the strength of my community and found a guy at Beehive Glass named Andy, and we worked on the design at the build of this home, which was 10 years ago. And at the time, I chose these little orange jewels, just only 3 of them in between 2 side lights, 2 on one side, 1 on the other.
Serendipitous.
Warmed cognac.
And so when I choose the wall color a decade later, I feel like this is like a treasure map. I decide to go with warmed cognac. And all of a sudden, these orange jewels just belong to the door. And the whole thing is just a total song. And it's been really, really fun. So I would have to say your entryway, or at least your front door moment, can really be a strength for you. So consider that while you guys are considering leaning into your strengths.
Do you think doing it that color was stretching yourself a little bit? Like maybe that wasn't something that you would have pegged yourself to choose?
I mean, I'm one of those people that, I do have a folder on my Pinterest that is just about doors, because we're constantly working with people. The front door is such a statement. It's also sort of wayfinding, where people can help find the front of your house or give it importance. It's kind of like the lipstick on your house, right? So it's an important move. And we are always telling people, go color, go bold, do you, right? Like really make it personal. And one of my favorite things about Palm Springs or Paris, France is the East Coast a door tour, where you can go, and I know in Palm Springs you can get the door tour and you can go and see all the addresses and people's brightly colored doors, and it's so fun and I love it, and I know I love that. And so I'm like, Jess, if you love that, play it up and do it. Don't just do the black and navy. I'd already bought the black and navy paint.
Really?
I own it. It's in my basement.
Wow, okay.
But then for fun, I was like, I'll just put a poll on Instagram. Like, I don't have any followers or anything like that. But I was like,
not true.
I'm just going to ask the people that do follow me what their thoughts are. Mm-hmm. The poll came in. More people wanted me to do navy than orange. But the people that wanted me to do orange were passionate. They were DMing me along with voting, and they were so opinionated, like, I will be disappointed if you don't do it. And all of a sudden I felt the weight of this community, those of you listening, and right, all these people that are like, you have to do it. And I'm like, this is my job. I need to take a risk, right? We all believe that we live in a design laboratory here at Alice Lane, and it's our job to take the risk, so then we know what it feels like in our body. We're not just giving advice for other people to do it, but then not doing it ourselves. Like when we all go to our healthcare provider and they're obese, right? And you're like, you're asking me about my diet? Like you want them to believe in the thing too. So I was like, this is my job. I need to just take the risk and know what that feels like. So it's been great. And I have to say, one of the things that I love most about it is how it feels inside my entry. You know what I mean? Because we don't really live with the outsides of our home. We build them. And you need to make them great for curb appeal and everything, but we all live our lives inside our homes, and the orange inside my home is like such a gift. And I will say it feels like a strength now. So I'm so glad I did it.
So rad. Yeah. When you're like walking down your hallway, maybe like to go into your bedroom, do you just see it and you're just like, yes, this is amazing.
It made me giggle. And it also made me completely change everything in my entryway. Because I had this big stack of like black and white art from my floorboard up to like the top of my casings, which is probably like 9 or 10 feet tall. I had to get rid of all of that dark art because with the orange door, it felt like Halloween. And all of a sudden my entry just became this really summery, happy, vibrant place. And I switched up all the art. I changed furniture around. I feel like I sold my home and bought a new one. It's just a front door, but it made a huge difference.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Over to you, Sue.
Okay. Probably just, again, I inherited architecture. This is a home that I did not build. Mm-hmm. So again, trying to space plan it in a creative way, again, within limit, it's not a huge house, right? Like I'm 1,400 on top, 1,400 in the basement square feet. Mm-hmm. And so really having to be creative on like how we live, how we sit. I think the space planning is really, really smart in that main room, because like when I'm at my sofa, I can see like my entry, I can see who's coming in my door, but there's like this little entry pocket. So I really love that spot, but we've talked about this, like just your transitions and like kind of like your eyes throw away to different spaces and what that feels like. And the thing I love about it so much in the space planning is when I'm sitting at my sofa or any of the chairs is just like the level of interest that I see happen from like space to space and the graduation of textures and colors and profiles. And I think that that's a huge strength just because I've bought a lot of heroes over time. And like when you get them in the right spot, that's when they start to sing and they start to speak to each other and kind of tell your story. So I think space planning for me, that is a huge asset of my house. Mm-hmm. I think when you're in it too, I think you orient yourself, but it allows your eyes to wander because all these rooms, even though it's not a big, great room, it's allowed to kind of like migrate and continue. And you kind of want to go peek around the corner to see what's over behind door number 3 because you know it's probably going to be something funky and something cool. So I would say the space planning, I think, is an asset.
The furniture space planning.
Yeah, the furniture space planning.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course, because you're a designer. So you knew exactly what to do with all those pieces and how to make it interesting.
It was a tricky room for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the way it ended up is really like it's in its ideal place right now. So yeah, I would say space planning.
Good. I love that. Yep. Cory, what's your next strength in your house?
I'm gonna say my powder bath.
Yeah, totally.
It's, I mean, a room that whoever comes over, whether like, you know, on an older friend or someone that I'm meeting brand new, like it's a place that they can go. If I took them to my closet, that'd be weird, you know? But
surely they're going to have to use the restroom.
Yes.
So,
having said that, this is like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Our nanny was out of town. She got married. So I was working from home in the afternoon. And so I was like kind of in like, I don't know, you guys get in headspace where you're like thinking about, you know, like interiors and just like furniture and stuff. And I like used my bathroom, the powder bath. And I was like, man, you know what? I love this space. First, it has the Gucci tiger wallpaper. We originally wanted the pink one with like the pink field.
Yeah.
It was out of stock. I'm actually so glad we didn't.
Oh, interesting.
I like love.
What's your floor?
It's a Dow tile and it's like a black and white.
Is that mosaic?
Mosaic. Yeah. Like trapezoid type of
yep,
pattern.
I can picture it.
We have like a really like this doorknob that I bought that is Alice in Wonderland. It's the talking doorknob.
That's so cool.
I think it's cool. You guys told me to bring the tile out to like the front, like
your little coat closet
area.
area.
Yeah. And there's a transom above there. I've talked about it a million times here. But as I was like in work mode thinking about it, I was like, I love this powder bath, but there are a couple of things actually I want to change about it and that I need to. And I'm like, while I'm doing, I have to build, I'm going to change the sink because right now it's like floating and Demi's like pulling herself up on it. And I see it like one day coming out of the wall.
Yeah.
So I like when I'm doing that, I'm going to just change a couple things about it and just make it exactly what I want. I'm going to put some sconces in, like some of our like Alice sconces, touch up where we obviously pull the light down, paint, and just like make it exactly like maybe get a little like side table in there, you know, for candle, whatever. I would just have all these ideas, even though it's a space I love. I'm like, man, I can like take this and like make it so much better. And it like, I just, in the moment, I was like feeling the passion of like, this is going to be so awesome. So I haven't even talked to Mari about it, but it's going to happen. I put it on my list of like, I have a list of home projects that I want to get done. That's
special projects.
Yeah, exactly. So although it's one of my favorite spaces in our home, like I'm going to change some things to just like make it even better because so much fun. I've learned
keep playing up that strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
And I'll be even more excited to talk about it when it's done, you know, but I'm glad we made the decisions we did. I'm glad actually, you know, that the pink one being out of stock kind of forced our hand. But yeah, so I think it's going to be, because of that, I'm like, okay, it's going to be way cooler than I even thought it would ever be.
Yeah.
So
I like that all three of us talked about a spot that like we love and we're just like going to make it better. You just did your entry, your powder. I'm going to do my vestibule, but just like things that you're just like, ooh, the potential is there. So even like listeners, like look and see like what spaces, assets you have that have potential, that's going to be your next special project.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what
make it all that it can be.
I think it's motivating to just like have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Have a trip to look forward to, have a room or a piece of furniture or something, a piece of art, something to look forward to like just make you fall in love with your house. I just love that.
So good. Do you want to tell them why you did the tiger wallpaper?
Oh yeah. So in 2000, so we built the home in 2021. In 2019, or in 2018, we wrote a song called Free Rider, and a lyric in that is "You're a freaky tiger," and that song was purchased by Sony for the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer in 2019. And it was
Look it up, guys.
yeah,
It's so cool.
it was the #1 viewed video on YouTube in 2019, which is still crazy.
And that's
So
Cory's
cool.
song.
Yeah, and it's our band that is the
Cory's
song on that
band is
trailer.
called Spirit City.
Spirit City. And I was like, you know what? Like I was kind of just looking through wallpapers, and because of Tiger Oak, the crane one, I was like looking at Gucci and I was like, that is way rad.
That is the freaky tiger.
And I was like, it has to be,
Yeah.
that has to be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like pulled the trigger. And again, we were like bummed that the other one, but now I think it's like happy accident. It's
Totally.
great.
Yeah.
And it totally fits me.
Yeah.
And it's like a part of my story. And yeah, that's what like makes it cool. And I tell that story to some people who come, but
Yeah.
not everybody. So it's I kind of like that too, just to be like, it's, you know, you're either in the club or you're not. So
Yeah.
everyone listening, you guys are, you're in
Y'all
the
are
club. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I just a shout out really quick. I was listening to one of our favorite podcasts here is Smartless. We love it. Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
It's so great. Well, they just really had one of the main Olympic broadcasters on their
I've listened to that.
podcast. Sorry, so we're recording a little bit in advance. So the Summer Olympic Games that were in Paris, they had one of the main commentators on their podcast, and he was the one that brought storytelling to sports. And so if you're watching, let's say, you know, the women's swimming, that he's going to talk about Katie Ledecky before she gets out of the swim, to say, Katie Ledecky took some time off last year. She got injured. She's rehabbed. She's come back. She's stronger than ever. Here she is. She's standing at the top and go. And then she starts swimming. And so now all of a sudden you're invested
You're bought in. Yeah.
because of the storytelling, right? And that storytelling makes things memorable and makes you want to share things with others. And he said what they saw when they started telling stories, this is of course decades ago in the Olympics, he was doing it then, was that all of a sudden it wasn't just the husband that's watching the Olympics. Suddenly now the wife is coming over and sitting down on the couch, and now the kids are gathered around the TV, and everybody's invested in the Olympics because they're invested in people's stories. You guys, this is our opportunity in our homes, is to be able to tell our stories in our homes. And if you are giving the home tour to somebody you love, or if you're just leaning into your strengths, that you're really leaning into who you are as a person, what story you want to tell, much like Cory's story about the Freaky Tiger song, right? That you can start to animate that in your own life and make it be a part of your everyday lifestyle. And everything has more meaning, and it does give it that sense of home. So lean into that as you guys are working on your projects and as you're leaning into your strengths.
Such great advice.
Yeah.
Such good advice.
So good.
Okay.
My last one is, I think my bathroom is something that I've learned to, or just my primary bath.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think our primary baths are such a part of our ritual, right? Getting ready in the morning. It's like,
Totally.
I don't know if you have this right now, Sue, because you have 3 little boys that probably need you in the morning. But to me, it's like your own time to just get ready and have a peace of mind, and you're brushing your teeth and you're putting on your makeup and you're just doing your routine, and your mind is free to think as you're multitasking, getting whatever done.
Juicing yourself up for the day.
Yeah, it's great. And I love the morning light in my house, and the window in my bathroom. What direction would that face? North, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's
North. Anyway, I open up a window right in front of my makeup vanity so I can put on my makeup with just daylight right on my face. And I have our Alice mirror that I get ready in front of, and there's plenty of surface space to see what's going on there. But my builder talked me into putting skylights in. One over my vanity, one over my husband's vanity, a third one in the same rhythm that landed in my closet. And the closet is bright when you go in without even turning on the light, because
so nice.
you get all this light from the sky, and you get all this light on top of your head when you're getting ready, plus the vanity lights. Plus I have a window in between both vanities. So the lighting is just so great. But I wanted to say skylights are a real strength that I had no idea. And I'm so glad my builder talked me into putting those in.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I would love it at the time. And oftentimes you don't know if something's going to be worth the splurge or not. But getting to live with something that you splurged on that works out is just so gratifying. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, it's like a double win.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a double win. So I just want to say I love that he talked me into it. Natural light, I think, is such a luxury, don't you?
So much.
So I want to just give 3 cheers for natural light. I think is a strength in my bathroom. Yeah. Anybody else? Did any of you guys forget any of your strengths in your house that you wanted to pay forward?
I mean, I think we all I think there's other things. I mean, those are just my favorite, the ones that are top of mind whenever I'm thinking of like, why do I think my home is awesome? Which I think is important to think about.
Totally.
Like it
sense of pride.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, it's one of our biggest investments we'll ever make. We might as well love it.
Yeah.
We might as well talk about it like we love it and stop like excusing the things maybe we don't. And just learn to just enjoy it and embrace the things that you love and lean into them.
Amen.
I was gonna say, I'm like, of course, like I love my bathrooms because we just recently remodeled
Yeah.
them, and so there's lots to love there, and it's fun to, I don't know, kind of create our own rituals, like what bath time looks like for the boys and what getting ready for looks like for us and whatnot. And I love them. But honestly, the thing, like when you were talking earlier, one of you mentioned something, and it just springboarded the idea. Like Tom's an awesome cook. We don't have like our kitchen's not updated or new or anything, but the food that's created there and the memories that are still created around that activity are beautiful. And so even in the spaces that you don't necessarily, or you're not boasting or taking a lot of pictures of or anything, still live in those areas and figure out what's great about them so that you know how to address them when the time comes. But don't forget to live in them.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that that's sometimes part of the thing is just like, oh, I hate that room. And I'm just like going to avoid that. But explore what that room could be. And what, like, I don't know, what memories could
You'll probably
explore.
start loving some things about it and then be able to choose.
And then you'll know
things
how
you
to
don't.
edit what isn't working. And so
I feel like this exercise makes you grateful for what you do have.
It totally
Not what you,
does.
it doesn't make you long for what you don't have.
No, because I'm like, the food he's cooking in there is like
Amazing.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And just as good as, I mean, everything's more pretty when the space is pretty, but it tastes amazing. And I love that, like, he hasn't stopped doing that thing just because the space isn't updated yet. And I'm like, what if he stopped?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do that. I'm just like, oh, I'll just table that until
conditions are perfect.
Until conditions are perfect. But like rarely are they. And so you should just live your life like beautifully as you can. There's always ways to improve a space and lean in, make them an asset. So
love that.
Yeah.
Guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode and that you can find the strengths in your own home. If you're feeling like you need a refresh, our complimentary designers are ready to help. You can sign up for a consultation at alicelanehome.com. This is our home furnishing design team. And if you have any questions for us, for like a future episode, if you have any ideas, things that we haven't talked about, sometimes we feel like we've recorded all the podcasts, but inevitably you guys are like, talk about this. Just send those ideas to Dear Alice at alicelanehome.com. Thanks for joining us. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.